All right, we are here at the range with our CZ Scorpion 3 Plus, and I've put a little bit of oil on it. I threw a red dot on there. It's not zeroed yet, but you know, we'll figure that out as we go. Let's just let's put some rounds down range and see. One, is it more reliable than the PSA ARV? And two, does it shoot better? Oh wait, hold on. First time loading it, we know what that means. We got to do the HK slap. All right, let's see here. First shots. It's already running better. I mean, that was so much fun, we got to do it again, right? Okay. Let's start with the obvious. One, it ran right out of the box just with a little bit of oil on it. Now, the ARV ran out of the box with just a little oil on it. It took about 500 or 600 rounds before it started malfunctioning. So, can this beat 500 to 600 rounds is going to be the goal. So far, I'll say this. One, the trigger is horrendous. I mean, terrible trigger. Look, if they could just cut this trigger weight down by like 3 or 4 pounds, it would be okay. But where it's at, man, it's just, there's a lot of work that's going into pulling the trigger. It doesn't seem to necessarily jump all over the place. It's not as stable as some other, 9mm platform PCCs or pistols that I've shot, but it's actually not terrible considering that the majority of it is polymer. That actually shoots really well, and it's easy to control. I'd like to try something. All right, what am I going to try? Well, it's pretty simple. I'm predominantly a pistol shooter. This is a pistol. Let's shoot it like a pistol. Again, I mean, shooting it like a pistol, it's not difficult to maintain control of. It's actually not like overly excessively floppy. I mean, is it heavy? Well, yeah, for a pistol. The offset's pretty intense too. Like, it's pretty high, but that's almost like fairly enjoyable to shoot just in itself. Like I said, the only thing I wish that they would have done is just, the trigger poundage. Just bring it down a little bit. Doesn't even need to be a lot. We're not talking about making it some crazy competition trigger at 3.5 pounds or less. We're talking about 5 or 6 pounds. Like, that's pretty typical for most striker fired firearms and stuff that's out there. So that would be a trigger weight that most people would be at least used to. But this whole like 8, 9, 10 pounds, whatever this thing is at, it's got to go. HK slap, always fun, of course. The iron sights, I mean, they're a little weird to get used to. Let's call it that. But I'm also shooting it like a pistol or, out here without a sling or anything like that. So I haven't been using the iron sights too much. I have been using the red dot primarily, which surprisingly is kind of sort of zeroed. So I think once I zero it a little bit more, we'll like properly zero it, then I think I'll obviously hit targets a lot more consistently. Right now I'm just kind of dancing all over because I'm not sure where to aim. But my first shots through the Scorpion 3 Plus, I'm not gonna lie, that's very enjoyable. That's a really fun gun to shoot. The controls feel familiar. They're not difficult to reach for me, and I don't have the biggest hands. I've got like medium. Like if you go and put gloves on at the store, you put mediums on, that's where my hands are. But you know, everything is within reach. I didn't feel like the safety was digging into my finger excessively or anything like that, so it wasn't uncomfortable to shoot. I think the grip angle is good. I don't know if maybe it would be better if like you got like a nice rubberized grip, like a Hogue or something like that, or if you prefer the polymer. I know like the Magpul stuff would fit nicely too, but I really can't complain about the grip. The grip's not uncomfortable, front or back. Shoot, that's a lot of fun. So I'll tell you right now, it's hard to compare the ARV to this side by side right now, because the ARV did come with a brace. Whereas this one I'm having to shoot just kind of free floating, and I didn't bring the sling out with it. So I'll say for my initial shots out of the CZ Scorpion 3 Plus, very enjoyable and absolutely worth the wait and the headache that I had to put up with the ARV so far. Like I said, we'll see after 500-600 rounds if this thing holds up beyond what the ARV was capable of. But that was absolutely a lot of fun, and once I get my brace in, I think this thing is going to be a hoot and a half to have and to shoot. I want to try one more thing. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I was going to do this in a separate video, but maybe this will be one video and the next video will be when I actually have the brace on. I've got my Sylvan Arms Apache 9 suppressor on here. I've got 15 rounds of Armscore 124, followed by 30 rounds of Armscore 147 subsonics. Let's have some fun. I love that so much. You can't even begin to know how much I love that. All right, let's go. Let's see if we notice when the sound changes. That's funny. The sound changed when I said the sound, let's see if we noticed. But I'll say this, suppressed, one, the dot and everything moved less. Imagine that. I will say this is kind of a loud platform. With it being suppressed, you could still hear quite a bit going on as far as the mechanics, and I think the sound coming out of the ejection port was still fairly significant. But damn, that was fun. Let's do that again. I put 15 rounds of 124 grain and 15 rounds of the 147 subsonics. I'm now, as you can see, mixing it up thoroughly, and now we're going to stick them in the mag. Let's see if we can determine, with them being so random and sporadic, when we're shooting supersonics over the subsonics. I think for the sake of filming too, I'm gonna go stand over there, put you on the side, and maybe I'll stand over there. I don't know. I'm gonna put you on the side though, so you're not directly downrange hearing all of it impact you like that. Okay, here we go. I know I'm excessively having to do more work so that I can do that, but why wouldn't you, right? All right, here we go. I could hear it and feel it as I was shooting. The question is, could you? And probably not, because I was hitting steel. And I thought about that halfway through the magazine, where I was like, wow, that's a loud ping. You're probably not hearing much of this. So let's try again. Only this time I'll just shoot at the berm. And this time we're just doing 10 and 10. Okay, well, there you go. Definitely more noticeable when you're not hearing the ding, but you can hear the difference between that crack of the bullet hitting the sound barrier and the subsonics not, where it was just more like a thwap on the back berm, and then you can just hear the cha-chunk that's going on in the platform. But, man, that is a good time. That is fun as hell. And, you know, I'll say this about this platform. I don't think that would not be manageable for a junior shooter or a lady or even an elderly person. Like, this is very manageable. And I think the next thing I want to try, I'm going to take the suppressor back off, and I'm going to load this up with a couple bullets, and I'm going to try and see if I can get this thing to kind of short stroke, or what. I want to see, like, if I don't hold it properly, if I just hold it, like, if I hold it very lightly, can I induce a malfunction? Because, you know, when we talk about junior shooters or elderly people, sometimes they don't have the upper body strength, they don't have the grip strength that's necessary to cycle something like a semi-auto firearm, you know, your typical pistol, 1911 or whatever. But this is a small enough package that it's not super heavy, it's not superly, you know, there's not a whole bunch of stuff going on the front end that makes it front heavy. It'd be very manageable to hold. And so I'm just curious to see if I just kind of hold it very lightly and just pull the trigger, if I can induce a malfunction. So let's try that out. I'm gonna need Ear Pro because I don't have the suppressor on it anymore. Let's not forget about that little fact, because I already have enough trouble hearing my girlfriend as is. All right. We're gonna try to give this the worst case scenario, which is me holding on to the CV Scorpion 3 Plus very, very lightly, and I'm using the 147 subsonics. Light powder charge, I know it's a heavier bullet and whatnot, but we're basically, like I said, we're just gonna see if we can induce a malfunction by limp-wristing this platform. So very lightly, barely holding on. It didn't even look like it was being affected by the fact that I was barely holding on to this. I was literally, this hand was just holding the muzzle up. This hand was just squeezing hard enough to get through that trigger pull. I would dare to say, if you can hold this thing tight enough to pull the trigger, it'll cycle for you. That was insanely impressive. I'm very happy with that. That's, look, you want to talk about evening the playing field for an elderly individual or a junior, a minor or something like that, around home for a self-defense situation. Wow. That was very impressive. All right, well look, I'm not going to talk too much more about it right now because I want to wait until I get my, my brace for this thing for the next video. But I can tell you this so far. We are at already, what is that? 120, 130 rounds in. no malfunctions, including when I'm trying to induce one by holding this thing like a little pansy. So far, I am extremely happy with the feel of it as far as the ergonomics of holding it, the feel of it as it recoils during firing. I'm happy with the accessories. I mean, you can literally shoot it right out of the box because it's got sights for you already installed. The blast mitigator helps keep a lot of the sound going downrange. Ambidextrous controls, CZ, the Magpul Scorpion mags work with the platform. I mean, I'm literally, the only thing I can complain about so far is the trigger, which you can buy another aftermarket one. Timney has one, I know for a fact. It's expensive, it's like $220 or something like that. So if it's really that big of a deal for you, then buy a new trigger. Guys, this gun is an absolute fantastic shooter. So if you get a chance to try one, I highly suggest it because it's fun as hell without the suppressor, and it's even more fun with the suppressor. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button so you can be notified of once I get my brace installed and I come out here and give it a try to see at this point how much better than the PSA ARV is the CZ Scorpion 3 Plus.